The melting snowflake. Hey, welcome everyone. Late night thinking from me. One thing that I Googled was to find out, how can you avoid graying hair naturally? How can you fix graying hair naturally? And you could find some really cool sites on ways, nutritional ideas, and things you can do to help avoid gray hair. Which is awesome. You learn solutions that might be able to fix your problem. Of course, as you go through, you find a place that, which is what I believe is sort of programming. It mentions if your melanocytes have died off, the coloring of your hair cannot be restored naturally. Well, life, we don't control life. We don't control melanocytes living or dying if that's exactly what colors our hair. Totally get that. But also, there's an overarching theme that strikes me, and I know it strikes other people who are into metaphysics, and how the controllers create these stories and those paradigms and these blocks, these thoughts. Well, if this happens, it can never be fixed. And if this occurs, you're ruined. And if you do this, you're done for forever. You want to have cautionary signs that tell people not to do stuff that can protect them. We want to have guideposts and we want to be safe. Totally get that. But the programmers of our society on a deeper level, who want to establish all these limits. For example, you just heard very kind of sad music, like a death just happened, an end of something happened. It sounded tragic. It sounded like this is the end of the world. This can never be fixed. It's done for. So the power of the mind to believe such is astounding. It's amazing just in English culture, English thinking processes. Until recently, the idea that you're birthed and you die and that's it, has been kind of infused with, of late since the 70s, a little bit of Hinduism and the fact that maybe dying isn't the end. Maybe you're reincarnated. Maybe you become something else. And the thing in English is that the English have been brutal throughout time. You look at the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and the English, all looking at those four cultures and how they dealt with slavery. All of them were brutal in slavery. All of them were brutal in indentured servitude. But I might suggest that at some point the English were the most brutal. Again, the English tend to have this fatalistic thing, this fatalistic idea of having to have everything or it's over. It's just there. And there's this programming, this massive psychology dedication to putting on certain shows and certain fabricated personalities to point out that you're an expert or you dress the right way, therefore you're an expert. I mean, I've been a guy who was a medical doctor in a hospital at one time. In no way did he show me any medical credentials. I was very suspect of him actually being a doctor, but he tells me he's a doctor, and I looked at him as a political consultant. I'm like, you're not a doctor. I know things about medicine and science and biology, and you've mentioned not a single medical term, not a single scientific term, not a single thing that makes any sense except you're politicking the death of my mother. You're literally telling me, no, it's just not going to happen. It's like you're programming me to believe a certain outcome when I want to know the reasoning, and yet you cannot provide the reasoning. It would seem to be that person was trying to program me more than give me information, program me for the fact that my mother was going to pass away in the hospital. But he could not answer questions. He could not, transliterate science to me. He had no ability to do that. And you're talking to someone that has a lot of science and technology experience, and I thought him a fraud, and to this day I'm not even sure if he is a real MD or a real doctor. And again, it's that programming of impossibility. Impossibility. You cannot get wealthy. You cannot get rich. You cannot escape death. You cannot escape old age. You cannot escape getting gray hair. You cannot escape. You cannot escape. You cannot escape. All programmings of a slave society. And they believe this deeply. In the end, the best thing you could ever do is just decide to be positive, whether you're on your deathbed or whether you're having the greatest time of your life. Being positive that there's something good for you can't hurt anything. I mean, if you've done all you can, you then cannot control that, but let's believe for the best outcome. Why don't people do that? Because they are ruthless in nature. The very description of Satan is to tell us what humans are capable. We may think it's Satan, and it may be, along with humans, but it's humans behaving as Satan, which is totally evil. They want to deprive people of hope. They want to deprive people of options. They want to deprive people of possibilities that they believe aren't open for themselves, sometimes for their greed. So there's this programming of fatalistic beliefs into people, and for rich people to exploit it. And of course you might say, well, melting snowflake, if that's the case, then rich people, who have everything wouldn't die because they'd be so positive about their great life. But no, they have programmers too. They have insurance companies limiting their life expectancy. You're only supposed to live to 79. You should get coverage. You're going to run out of money. You're going to run out of money. You're not going to have enough money for retirement. And think of all the ruthless effing things people do because they're fearful of running out of retirement. Think of how many people they are willing to shit on to go up the career ladder and wipe other people out so they have enough money to retire, and they want others not to, just because they believe this paradigm. And meanwhile, they're so programmed in their stupidity that they're going to die at 69. I mean, massive evil in the English culture, American culture, brutality masked over, so much deception and lies and false narratives that are constantly being thrown at us. The stench of death always thrown in our face because that's what's supposed to happen. That's impossible. And as the internet is growing stronger, the elite have taken it over more and more and more. They've turned it into a programming device rather than a tool to find possibilities. They've tried to destroy the conspiracy theorists because those are danger, because ideas have to be absolute. They have to be absolutely controlled. Absolutely. You can't live to be 5, 6, 7, 800 years old, even though in the time of Moses and maybe before that, many people lived to be quite old. For God's sakes, a sequoia tree lives for 1,000 years. It's a tree and it gets to live for 1,000 years, and all we get is 80. This is programming the human mind. I'm supposed to get old. You've got these people getting married between 23 and 27 and having to have a baby, and then they have to get their divorce at 45. And my God, it's out of control. And there's these exactors, these people who think they control time and they can do all this great scheduling and it's going to save them. It's idiotic. And then when they die, they got all this sad music. Oh God, it's over. I'm dead. Oh, it's going to happen. The end of my life. And, they've been horrible people. So I don't know how much pity I'm supposed to have for them. They've probably wanted other people to die. I guess, unfortunately, it's now their turn. And they programmed themselves to die instead of being hopeful and joyful and loving and peaceful and caring and embracing the great world. Instead, they have this schedule they're on, and it's all about them, and they gotta get married at a certain time, and they gotta, and then I've seen the people who've got to screw over people. They live their life, and they have to, for some reason, they have to fuck over a minimum number of people for them to feel good about their life, because we have to have a pecking order. I'm the winner because I destroyed you. And then these stories aren't even talked about. We try to cover them up. I mean, Jerry Springer was trying to bring it out in the open, which I love Jerry Springer for that, for bringing out all the whoredom and the lies and the cheating and the falsehoods and the bullshit and bringing it out into the public and saying, voila, that's what it is. Now we're kind of going back to trying to, let's cover it up more. But it can't be covered up. It's all lies. Here's some more sad music to die to. It just sounds horrible for me to say that, but it's true. It's just kind of sad music. I don't see how it could relieve stress. It just sounds like it's kind of saying like it's time for me to... It just sounds like it's very gruesome and morbid, in my humble opinion. This is the Melting Snowflake with Philosophy Lesson 101. Just believe is really all I got to say. Believe for good things. Don't believe what they program you to believe. Don't believe the end is near. Don't believe that you have to have this fate. Don't believe you're supposed to die. Believe in Peter Pan, right? Believe in Peter Pan, him staying young forever and whatever. And Wendy didn't believe. She wasn't in Never Never Land. She was in I'm a rational person land, which is horrible. Get out of letting people tell your story in life. You don't know your story, and believe for the best. Melting Snowflake signing off.
Oh, it's just so sad. I don't know what to do. It's sad and morbid. It's so stressful. I'm not supposed to live past 65. I'm supposed to lose my teeth and get gray hair and grow old and die. 'Cause the human race is too dumb to come up with anti-aging medicines. We're retarded. Oh, let's let the bankers run our world and the insurance company.
Melting Snowflake is melting down. Take care.